Hey everyone, these times are different, to put it very mildly. Nevertheless, I'm sure all of us Asper students are used to adapting to change, so we can get through it. Anyway, it gives us something funny to talk about at our alumni reunion in 10 years. This address is dedicated to all the healthcare workers, essential workers, small business owners, and everyone who is doing their best to fight the pandemic. Friends, family, faculty, administration, and most of all, the Asper graduating class of Fall 2020. My name is Lawrence Urbanski, and I'm deeply honored and humbled to be here today speaking to all of you. I would like to thank my parents for supporting me, and I would like everyone to join me in sending out gratitude to our families, friends, and mentors for their support during our journey in academia. Thank you to the Commerce Students Association, all the STAGs, JDC West, professors, UMSU, and faculty for adapting to these trying times and making schooling manageable. Also, a special thanks to Professor Harmatz, Dr. Peterson, and Mr. Fontaine for inspiring this address. I want to welcome you all in congratulating the Asper School of Business Fall Class of 2020, also known as the COVID grads. Congratulations on making it to the summit of your Bachelor of Commerce degree. This is a time to give yourself some applause for all the hard work and late nights, as well as acclaim for your fellow Asper graduates. To prepare for my speech, I did probably what every other valedictorian has done. I went on YouTube and searched college commencement speech and valedictorian address, and then I ended up spending all my time watching speeches, listening to Joe Rogan podcasts, and looking at Asper memes of guys wearing suits to class for no reason, instead of actually crafting my own speech. So I ended up doing what we all have done at least once during our time in academia, the good old all-nighter before something important is due. Before I get too deep into the heart of my speech, I want to divert into a promise I made. During my campaigning period, I posted a survey asking my fellow graduating class to feel free to provide some thoughts or insights to collaborate with my speech. Shout out to Abel for the idea, by the way. Well, let's just say the engagement wasn't very high, but it's all good. Some of the elements my fellow colleagues wanted me to touch on were reminiscing on the Asper experience and focusing on our future as graduates. I'm going to tie these two elements into my topic of the night, which is character. Life is a problem. So how do we solve it? Well, it seems that we all came here to business school to find a career that will help resolve that problem. And it's a pretty good solution. But I think the solution is much deeper, and it involves our character. As Dr. Peterson puts it, the answer to the problem of humanity is the integrity of the individual. On this fantastic day, when we're gathered in front of our screens to celebrate all of our academic successes, I decided to talk about our struggles and failures. As an avid reader, I come across many motivational and deep quotes, but once in a while an excerpt or passage strikes a chord with me, and I'd like to share them with you. In 1917, Freud stated, "One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful." In 2014, famous American poet Jermaine Lamar Cole, better known as J. Cole, wrote, "It's beauty in the struggle, ugliness in the success. Hear my words or listen to my signal of distress. I grew up in the city and know sometimes we had less compared to some of my homies down the block, man, we were blessed." Another famous politician and poet, Kanye West, said, "You're not perfect, but you're not your mistakes." So you get the idea. Sorry, I know my rapping was kind of whack, but it sounded cool in my head, so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. These words reminded me of my struggle, whom I know many of you can relate with, to not being able to afford a laptop or some other supplies during my first few years in university, to busing in minus 40 Celsius to school and almost getting some frostbite along the way, to having my first VW in the notorious interest theory course. For the non-actuaries, it might have been struggling with Corp Phi, to shaking in my boots miserably while presenting in front of the class for the first time, to getting rejected from our top internship or co-op opportunity, to balancing life's inevitable hardships and everything else in between. Our time at Asper was not easy. Looking back, it was these struggles that built our character and made us the successes we are today. So don't be too hard on yourselves. Give yourself a pat on the back. You made it. On to our future as graduates. Remember the saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? An astronaut, a pro athlete, a police officer, a doctor, a teacher, maybe an actuary? This is a question we can all remember being asked in our formative years as kids and in our early teens. For myself, I think I told my parents I wanted to be a firefighter. As someone in the actuarial field, we still protect people from fire, so maybe I wasn't too far off in my aim. No, am I kidding? Firefighters and actuaries have nothing in common. Anyway, I always struggled more and more with this question as I grew older, as many of you all probably have as well. But I think I struggled with Western society's conceptualization of the question rather than what career I was interested in. When people ask the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? They usually mean, what career are you going to pick? I think this has been conceptualized improperly in our society, or it should at least be thought of in a different way. We should really be thinking about what sort of character do you want to have? There's this passage in the New Testament that says, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things should be added unto you. So what does it mean? Metaphysical and religious meaning aside, practically, it means to orient yourself toward the highest good, and the highest good may be the development of your character. And if you do this, the things you need to sustain you in life will be delivered to you. You see, I used to berate myself every night for not developing the character I thought about every day as an ideal. And it wasn't until I started aiming for it that everything else came together in my life. My personal relationships started blooming, grades started going up, internship and co-op offers started coming in left and right. My confidence shot up, and so on. I truly believe focusing on character rather than career is the real pathway to win in life. I'll articulate this with an example we've all experienced. I'm sure you've all heard this somewhere, that life is a game. Well, to me, it's actually a series of games. So what's the best strategy to win in this game of life? When we were all kids growing up, we played various competitive games. Some of us even competed in little sports leagues, and our parents used to tell us, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, it matters how you play the game. And then you look at your mother or father with this look of confusion and say, what do you mean, Mom and Dad? Are they supposed to try and win? Come on, it's a basketball game. And then they said, well, son, yes, you should try your best to win, but it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game. We all know in our hearts that this is the right way, but we don't exactly know why. We say things like, it's to be a good sport. And then, as kids, being mini Socrates, they'd say, why do we need to be a good sport? And then our parents would say something like, so you can be a good person. And then as kids again, we'd say, well, why do we need to be a good person? And then our parents, not actually knowing the answer, they'd say something wise like, you'll realize when you're older. Here we are, older. And I think we have it figured out. So let us say you're on a basketball team and you want to win the game. Winning the game isn't the real goal. The goal is winning the series of games. This means winning the championship. The best way to win a single game is to maybe be a star, like Kevin Durant. Make all the plays, but then you can get injured and your team's out of the championship. If you really want to win a championship, maybe the best thing for you to do is everything you possibly can to develop all the other team members. A LeBron James-like ethos. This obviously works because, well, LeBron won the championship. So what our parents were trying to tell us when they said it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. They were trying to let us know that the outcome of a single game wasn't important. What was important was to foster the growth of our character, which would make us contenders in the entire series of games, championships, and ultimately in life. So as kids, our parents taught us not to place winning or our career as our highest value. They wanted to teach us how to play well with others, work well with others. If we play well with others, then other kids gathered to play with us. Adults lined up to teach us, and opportunities came to seek us. Developing your character is the only mode of being that guides you throughout every type of game life throws at you, every challenges, and against the vicissitudes of life. Here we are, champions at our current stage in life, as university graduates. So the next time you come across the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? You can answer it by saying, I want to be the person who I know I can become. And we can start doing that by not focusing on winning or losing, but by being someone of character. To the class of 2020, my ask of each of you is that with every decision you make, ask yourself, does this align with who I am? And what can I do to make this develop myself into who I could be? Whether this be when you're giving your absolute best advice to a client at that big name consulting firm, or when you're working on that restructuring deal at that investment bank, or when you're working on that complex valuation for a large insurer, or even when you're putting in that little extra effort in something that you know will contribute to the betterment of the world. Let us take a moment to reflect on our Asper journey and how we've become the people we are today. Thank you.